Okay. So we're starting a new video. Exciting. Gonna powder my nose. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that that's like the weirdest part about it is that like they really just made her out to be. Miranda, you looked up a picture of Alex Voss. See, that's what I'm saying. Exactly, Sula Bear. They really when they call crazy eyes, it kind of like it's a dismissive term. It's a way to dismiss people and to dismiss their actions and to make them out to be like this singular one-dimensional person, someone that's like erratic in behavior and just like not worthy of anything. And as I said, they treat Suzanne like a magical Negro in that they make her out to be like this person that bears gifts for Piper, helps Piper, but still doesn't have any wants and needs of her own. You know what I mean? We never get like her wants and needs are Piper, and when Piper finally rebuffs her, and is like 100% no longer dealing with her advances. I think that's when which is now, that's hopefully we're gonna see like some new information about Suzanne, but like we really only knew about Suzanne because we knew about Piper. You know what I mean? There was nothing really like isolating about Suzanne that we could see. Whenever Piper was somewhere, usually Suzanne was somewhere. It was very rare that we saw Suzanne by herself. Um, and I think that that's again, I think that that's another thing that bothers me is the fact that they like make her out to be like this creeper, but only when she's not helping Piper and saving the fucking day. Kushbu, I am definitely tripping on the fact that Mendez got away with murdering Trisha. But at the same time, I was kind of sick of looking at that bitch with the cornrows. To be real, sorry if I hate your fave, but I wasn't really here for the bitch with the cornrows. I thought the shit was whack. Um, Yo, can I tell y'all? I think Boo is sexy. Like I'm into Big Boo, son. I'm sorry, I'm mad loud right now. It's like mad late in my house, but still, I think Big Boo is kind of sexy. Like I see it for them. I was like, okay, but really though, um, I like if y'all look at the picture of the real Alex Voss, and you look at the real fucking Piper Kerman, that ain't no motherfucking sexy ass plot, bitch. No shade. And like I'm not trying to shame them. I'm just talking about like in, our mainstream whack ass fucking white centric place, they wouldn't have been the ones to like be making that scene. So they had to reinvent Alex, and they did it in Piper's image. You know what I mean? They made her just as volatile and just as like hapless as Piper. They have no cares. And they try to make you feel bad for Alex, like, oh, I was poor when I was young, and my dad was an asshole. It's like, okay, and like why does that matter? Pennsatucky ain't try to kill you, son. And then I read this really great article today about Pennsatucky, about how a lot of like about how Pennsatucky wasn't really even a character, how she was like just like a compiling of like all the shit that like people assume about like Christians, or rather like Christians that live in like the deep south or whatever, or like live in like a certain part of the world. Like honestly, that's the reason why I can't pin down what the fuck they were trying to do, is because it's not congruent. Like each thing that Pennsatucky says is not congruent with like the next thing that she says. In one instance, she recites a joke, from a very popular comedian as like, actual fact of her faith. So I think that in a way, she's a caricature like to the max. And I think the fact that like, they show Piper attacking her and killing her, I think, or rather leaving her for dead, because everybody want to tell me that this bitch is alive, and maybe she is, but I don't think she is. And as I said, I'm willing to put up 16 fruit snacks. All right, I'm putting up 16 fruit snacks, and if she comes back, I'll eat every single one on cam. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here. Um, But let me finish my thought and then I'm gonna read the chat. Uh, damn it, I just lost it. No, they were talking about how Pennsatucky, they made Pennsatucky out to be this caricature of like this, like of everything like you can hate about like Christian people, or rather not rather like just Christian, but like these um like all these different like ideas. You know, every time she opens up her mouth, she says something else that conflicts with what she previously said. So and then you know when they show her like attacking Piper as a Christmas angel, you know, attacking Piper with the cross when they show her breaking shit in the chapel with that big cross. You know, they really are just like using her faith, which isn't ever explained to us because we don't know who Pennsatucky is, as a way to, you know, kill off this lower class, not like us white person, you know? And I feel like Piper Kerman looks like a hero in a way, or like a victim in a way, when in reality I don't feel like Pennsatucky was ever really a threat, you know? I feel like Pennsatucky is like, I don't know. I just was like, Piper, handle yours. You know what I mean? Handle this. You know, like I just didn't feel like I feel like Pennsatucky was trying to psych her out and try to like psychologically fuck with Piper, and that's why you know things kind of got the way they did. But I think that was what the bitch was doing from the fucking jump. That's what she should have fucking stopped doing. Piper never wanted to be this bitch's friend. If she would have just been real, they wouldn't have had no beef. But like Piper again sees herself as the victim, where I don't see it like that. I see her as still trying to fuck with Pennsatucky. After you get like you were the one who put her in psych. How you gonna take her out and then expect everything to be peachy keen? You know what I mean? Your ass got saved when you fucked over Watson, and Watson was like, "I'm not gonna fuck you up because we in the vent." But tried it again. I'm telling you, Piper point this is like white tears personified. You know, we supposed to feel bad for Piper, but it's like, nah, bitch. Like you're wildin'. Okay, let me keep reading. I do agree. They could have had a TV show with like and less that was less like a biography. But I like the biography, but I just wish there were more women of color. And I really like that Peach said if there weren't any women of color on this show, would like what would this show fucking be like? And honestly, who would care? You know, the women of color on this show make the shit pop. Okay, they make the shit pop. Layla, you're funny. Sula Berry, yes, I do agree. Yeah, Healy. I think Healy is a creeper, like to the max. Like I think we all think that. Yeah, Queen Rivers. Yeah, Queen Rivers. I agree. I agree. I agree. They wrote her in a way to kind of, but you know what? They also focus a lot on like you know religion in this show. Do you notice that? How you know they had like this, you know, this they like alluded in a way to baptism when talking about baths and getting clean and like how like important it was to Piper to be clean. And I think that like being in prison, like do you ever really feel clean in prison? You know, cuz like, you know, I feel like prison, I realize that like it's not at all the same, but I feel like being like in like I feel like being in any like state facility that like is meant for like to hold people, and I mean that in the terms of like schools, because I've been in some dirty ass schools, and I feel like it also depends on the prison. You know, I feel like that prison looks a lot cleaner than what I've seen. You know what I mean? I've seen some prisons that look like really fucked up for like the inmates. Um, but like I just feel like in a prison, I can't imagine like feeling clean. I can't imagine feeling comfortable. So I think they nuance a lot about religion in this show, and I think I think at the same time they used Pennsatucky without really like like we really don't know who she is. You know, she was someone who was trying to get an abortion and they ended up, killing someone and like going to jail. But do you notice again, these white characters do the most outlandish, self serving things and they're in the same prisons with people who made life decisions that were just like non really harmful of others. I mean, you can wager with like being like, with like stealing, like mugging people or like robbing like stores and stuff. But I mean, I don't know. Thief culture is like real. You know, the system we live in, there's legitimate stealing, I guess, when the government does it. But I guess like when people do it, like other people have like this shit to say about it, It's like, I don't know. Okay, okay, okay. Sorry, I'm like reading the chat. Trying to catch these T's, because y'all be writing me. Wait, like Rose and Jack? Wait, what are you talking about? Piper's college. Haley sees Piper as different from the. Oh, totally. Totally, totally, totally. Yeah, you're not allowed to write lesbian sex. That's mad funny. I don't see the hype about Piper. Me neither. Like as much as like she makes herself out to be attractive, she looks like basic white lady number 537. You know what I mean? Like she's not like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't see the hype. And I don't know. I seen like Piper next to the person that plays Piper, and I was just like, I don't know. Even the name Piper Kerman bothers me. Even her name bothers me. It's just like I know it's a white lady. You know what I mean? Piper Kerman. Seriously, I don't know. I'm just like I'm just like over this show a little bit because it's like it's very like it's thought provoking, but it's also like very like it's exhausting to unpack, and like that's like important to me to do. But like I mean I don't know like how much like I want to subject myself to a show that like I have to constantly like really analyze because like the show do be. But but it also do be like fucked up. I just think it's interesting how like Red was like so down to dead Trisha like for doing drugs, but I feel like Trisha had no choice but to do drugs. You feel me? I feel like Mendez was controlling her. So I think in a way like with consenting to sex, I feel like it has. I feel like consent has a lot of different forms in the prison, and I feel like Mendez telling Trisha to sell drugs was unfortunately pushing her back into drugs. Like I don't think Trisha wanted to be on drugs again. I don't feel that way, but I feel like she had no choice but to be on drugs because she was slanging them. If I'm selling something, I'm tasting something too. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna work at a lemonade stand and not pour myself a glass from time to time. You know what I mean? So there's that, but I think Mendez is just like pulling some fucking strings. So I'm just hoping he gets caught up. But yo, can we get into this lady, this prison director bitch? I don't need to know her name, but you can tell this bitch is stealing. You can tell this bitch is stealing. You can tell this bitch is up to no good. But again, All these white characters are doing all types of fucking crimes, but they gonna send Watson to the shoe for a fucking screwdriver. You see? It's just like when will we get rest? You know, when will we get to relax and live and enjoy our fucking days? It's just too motherfucking much. Like, I just don't have time for the fucking life. I don't have time for the life of these lying ass, fugazi ass people. But I really appreciated you, Peach, for bringing up Genji Kohan, because you know what? The fact that she said that Piper Kerman is an entree, you know, these storylines that we're reading, they're important because they're real. You know, for all the Piper Kermans in the world, y'all are a fucking a needle in a fucking haystack. Y'all don't really get caught up in jail. You hustled hard. You hustle wrong, bitch. You hustle wrong, Piper. This is you the type of nigga that show me what you're not supposed to do. All right, and you know what you learn? Don't wear a pixie cut fucking wig, and don't be bringing a fucking briefcase and shit around customs and shit. And don't be fucking with no fugazi ass bitch with half blue hair mocking you openly. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of banter was that? It was rude. I was like, what kind of banter is this? It seemed controlling and abusive from the jump, to be honest. It seemed manipulating from the jump. Just the way that she would like preposition Piper to do things, and like seemingly already have the plan to do them already, like already in like in the works. You know what I mean? Not really thinking about Piper, thinking about herself and her business and her sustainability, which I think she played into her mind as thinking, you know, I need this life because I need Piper, and to keep Piper in my life, I need, you know, this life, you know? So it was just like a catch-22 in a way, like, you know, just a big circle, a cyclical pattern of, I think, self-delusion, but also just like not really measuring the stakes. And what I think is even more interesting is that, you know, Piper was about to leave Alex, and Alex hid her passport and then told her where it was. I wouldn't have told the bitch, to be honest with you. I think I would have been in like a really fucked up situation with Piper, because I felt like, you know, Piper was just being hella fucking selfish. Like, I get that you're like breaking up with me and you're leaving, but bitch, you can't just sit for some tea or something. You know, can you come with me and like hang out with me for like a second? I mean, I don't know. Like, on one hand, it's like obviously with all the shit in the background, like obviously, like I'm sure she's pumped that she never fucked with like Alex like on that trip. But then again, in retrospect, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong, because you know they did get together, and then like now that they're not together, I know that Piper's sad as fuck. But I only think Piper's sad that she's not with Alex because of Larry. And I think that like them taking Alex out of the show, while it doesn't matter to me, I think it's interesting as fuck, because as we all know, the person that plays Alex is not really Alex. You know what I mean? In terms of like their life, you know what I mean? I think that they definitely changed the experiences of a short, fat, you know, lesbian person to give her this backstory of being like this lean, beautiful, you know, person. You know, I definitely think that they had to change somebody's experiences in that whole situation. So I'm just wondering what's going to be the new character to fill that in, or if they're going to just let the women of color really go in, and stop, you know, giving so much time to Morello and Nikki Nichols. And honestly, I don't feel like Nikki is that funny. I feel like what's funny is like her delivery. I feel like in a way she gives me like a Mitch Hedberg kind of like comedy. You know, like a like I don't know, like her jokes don't be killing me, but like I don't know, I'm just not feeling it. Um I don't know. I think like it was really interesting, you know, that perspective about, you know, how how people in prison cannot consent to sex, um, and how, you know, now, or rather how rape is a storyline um, in this movie, or rather in this show. And and it just, you know what, and I think, like, as much as I'm sure rape survivors are really happy that, like, there's a dialogue about rape culture, I just think it's interesting how, like, insidious it is that, like, the conversation is, like, the show's been out for, like, a little bit now. I think it came out earlier last month. And uh I really haven't had anyone present to me that, like, Bennett was a rapist, you know, or even assert that, like, Mendez is a rapist, even though, like, they hated him. So I think that, like, and not to say that, like, them being a rapist wasn't, all along, because, like, that's all along. It's not like they just became a rapist. Like, they've been rapists in the show, and I think that that's important. I think that's definitely important to talk about, because it really, like, talks about the dynamics. As Pete said, with the prison community. But I think in this uh in this show, it's just like there's so much blatant racism, as I said before. And there's so much, like, blatant white supremacy, and it's like, it's just interesting to hear some of the commentary about it, because it's mostly just, like, white queer people being like, hooray, Alex and Piper, I ship Pipex, like, really, like, that's really, like, that's people right now. Or I hope Morello leaves her fiance for Nikki, and it's like, Nikki has moved on to the fucking next, though. What are you talking about? Gelling for my melon, I agree. Piper's mind is me, me, me. I need Alex to eat me out, me, me, me. Yeah, Kiara, I agree. Like if my mom just died, chill for some tea. Oh my God, Zaina. Larry had no writing career prior to Piper being in prison. White folks' lives be dry. I'm sorry, it's late. But no, I do agree with you, because you know what? Even Larry's story was lies. You know what I mean? And the fucked up part about it is, like, Larry is exposed as a liar because his story was obviously more sexually charged and more, like, through the white male gaze, you know what I mean, which is sexualizing everything. And it just showed, like, and even when, like, Larry was, like, on the phone with Piper, and they were talking, and he was thinking that Piper was wanted to talk about porn because she was making, like, noises that indicated, like, pleasure in terms of, like, hearing about food. It just fucked me up. And then, she was, like, trying to explain to him, like, that what the situation was, like, there's people crying next to me, I'm in the open, like, there's somebody listening to the call, just, like, explaining to him, like, why it wasn't appropriate for them to be having phone sex right there, or rather why it wasn't something she was consenting to, like, why she was, like, not interested in it. And he was still pushing it. It just made me fucking disgusted, because it's like, all day, like, your fiance, the person that you're supposed to care for, is being, like, groped, is being, like, fucking you know just fucking solicited, you know what I mean, just being, bothered, you know what I mean, like, all of the people who are in jail, or rather, or who are in prison, I think that that's an everyday occurrence, getting solicited for sex, um or rather, or having someone, like, wanting to have sex with you, or having someone wanting to be with you. And I think I mean, like, I think that can just be so much. I don't know. I just think it's really interesting. Somebody said Pipex, I swear to God. Yo, yeah, the master cleanse scene. Who cares? I think it was just establishing that, like, Larry has no fucking life. That, like, before Piper came into his life after being attacked by a fucking dog, he had nothing to talk about in his fucking life. Now he got this bitch in his life. Oh, she used to be gay. Oh, she bought me a box to roast a pig. Oh, she's in jail now having lots of gay sex that I can write about and become a fucking writer. You know what I mean? And then when this nigga's buying the paper, being like, I'm in the paper, to, like, the men of color that are, like, running, like, the stand, it's just like, Why the fuck do they give a shit? Why the fuck do they care about your fucking story? And no shade, your story ain't even your story. You're stealing a story from a bitch that stole stories from another bitch. You feel me? It's just like the thievery is fucking real. It's so real in this shit. Jason Biggs, please. I agree. I love y'all. A lot of this show is a lot of this show is unnecessary. Mimi, yes, bitch, go in. Yeah, Mimi, I wonder too. I wonder too. Jellin for my melon, I do agree. I do agree. I think that's the creepiest thing, and I think that when Piper says, it wasn't me that you wrote. You didn't write me. I'm not that person that you wrote about. I think that in a way, I think that that's what kind of like uh, pushed you to kind of see Piper for who she really was. But I also think it kind of also forced Piper to change who Larry thought she was. So Larry writes this thing completely bullshit, and I guess Piper was like, no, like, who am I? And like her idea was, I'm someone that's fucking someone that totally ratted me out in court, and without a fucking doubt, you know what I mean? It was just like, like when Larry decided not to tell Piper, I thought it was stupid, but I was just like, I don't like how could you believe that? You know what I mean? Like I don't care what anybody told me, like that's the only bitch I knew. You know what I mean? She carried a briefcase, sure, but like nothing, she didn't interact with anyone. So that's what kind of annoyed me. It just didn't make any sense. Adora, I do agree. Piper's in prison and he worried that he got to jerk off. You're right. No, when this nigga was edging, can I tell y'all I tried to edge the other night? Um, it's like it don't really work because like when I get to the point, it's like I'm really past the point. But when I tried to edge the other night, it was like whack to me. It wasn't worth it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think I'd ever do it again. I think I'm done edging for a while. Oh, Zayna D. You know what? I think Miss Claudette is the shit, and it makes me fucking mad that like we don't really know like as much as we could know about her. Like I'm sad that like we saw like her like basically growing up in like this this trade of like young undocumented children. Um, and becoming the woman that she first met. When we meet Miss Claudette, she starts off as a young person, and she falls in love with Baptiste, and I think that that's like her weak spot. That's like the humanity in Miss Claudette, unfortunately. Or rather, that's the humanity that they want to sell you. They don't want you to feel bad for Miss Claudette because she like avenged like this child that had no one to fight for them. They want to show you that like, oh, but she loves this guy Baptiste, and then they make Baptiste out to be this forbidden fruit, because he has like a wife, and somehow tells and the wife is rude as shit too. The Baptiste wife, that bitch was hella fucking rude. I was like, how dare you talk about Miss Claudette womb? Get out of here, bitch. Like I was mad as hell. I was like, if you know someone can't conceive, why the fuck would you bring that up? Like what? Like when do you bring that up? Never for 500, Alex, because you shouldn't. That just doesn't make any fucking sense. Like when do you have that conversation over toast? If you can't name a meal where you would have that conversation, bitch, you shouldn't be fucking talking about it for real. There's no dinner for you know, can we talk about why you can't have kids? No, there's not. There's not a brunch. There's not a lunch. You know what I mean? There's not a breakfast. There's not a third meal, a fourth meal, a fifth meal. There's none of that, okay? So I just don't. Edging is for the birds. I'm dead, Raekwon. Uh, Peace, Peach. Love you. I mean, look, I wanted to just try it because, like, it's not every day that people bring up, like, interesting sexual things to do. I have a friend who told me about something, and I don't even know if I should repeat it because, like, I don't exactly know exactly what they were saying. Like, I'm trying to remember. But it had something to do with, like, I don't know if it was like asphyxiation, but it's like they were telling me how like when they were about to come, they like hang their head off the side of their bed so that they lose like oxygen to like their head, and they say that it makes your orgasm like crazy, like ridiculously better. So I think that like I wanted to try that, but then like it didn't work out because I like asked my boyfriend to like choke me, and then I was like, yo, I was like, as soon as I start to come, I want you to like choke me and hold my nose, and they were like okay, and then like we tried it, but I was just getting mad because I was like I can't breathe. I was just like I was concerned about nutting, but then I was also concerned about breathing. That's that human thing happening where it's like, hold on bitch, you cannot nut and not breathe. You gotta pick one. Word. I feel y'all. I'm not hating on anyone that finishes. I definitely won't be edging anymore. um it was not great. But yeah. I'm gonna stop the Ustream now. I appreciate everyone for coming out. You all are fucking wonderful and amazing and the bomb. So thank you all for hanging out and being cool. I'm gonna upload both of these videos to YouTube, and hopefully we can have another discussion soon. I think like what would be really cool is if next time I'm gonna try to set it up so that I can do, we can have more people call in and talk about this. So I'm gonna give everybody a couple days to kind of get some information together, or maybe like just get up some like things that they want to talk about, some pointers, so that that can just happen. I know I'm leaving. I'm going out of town on the 22nd. So I'm thinking maybe we'll do it on the 20th. So that's in 2 days. So Tuesday. So Tuesday we're gonna do a Ustream at 11. Okay. So thank you again, and I'll see y'all.